Okay, so welcome. I'm so glad to have you all here today. This is our third town hall on closing, opening, all of that sort of stuff, and just dealing with all the issues that are happening right now. I'm Donna Bachowski. I'm one of the educators at ByWater, and with me today we'll start with Jessie.
My name is Jessie, and I do marketing and outreach and education.
My name is Kelly, and I'm another educator here. I'm super excited.
My name is Andrew. I'm also an educator here. I can't talk today, but that's what I do.
And of course, y'all recognize Jessie and Kelly from the amazing Monday Minutes that they do. All sorts of great stuff. They've actually become almost like a cult following, I think. So that's kind of cool.
We're waiting for people to send us really weird gifts. Like the people who watch, like, what's that murder one? What's that murder?
My Favorite Murder podcast.
My Favorite Murder podcast. They get so many crazy gifts sent to them, like weird clowns. So, I mean, we're just waiting, just kind of waiting.
Okay.
Wait, that's a heck of a thing to say on a video that's going to go on the internet.
I have the power. I have the power to edit anything. So to just, you should see our blooper reel for Monday Minutes.
All right, excellent. So we're glad to have y'all here. And, just in the general perspective, y'all know that, we like to kind of lighten things up and have a little fun and things like that. So, this is one place that we can kind of relax and you can kind of tell your bad jokes and all of those sorts of things, get some of that stress out there. So we're here for you, whatever you need. Today, though, what we're going to talk about is reopening your libraries. And I know that there's a lot going on. We know a lot of our partners are in different stages. We have some libraries that are almost completely open. We have some libraries that are just doing curbside, some that are doing appointments, all of those sorts of things. So this is really just kind of an opportunity to ask questions and share stuff, all of those sorts of things. I am going to go ahead and call on Catherine Ingram, if we can go ahead and make her panelist JZ. Catherine is one of our partners in Texas, and they have been doing some great stuff with their patrons for curbside pickup and all of those sorts of things. So Catherine said that she would be willing to go ahead and just kind of share some of her experiences with us. So there she is. All right, Catherine, the floor is yours.
You're still muted.
Yes? Mm-hmm. Can you hear me? So, all right. So in terms of Koha, I would say that things have been going really well. We had worked with you all. I had made some, I'm going to call them missteps at the very front end of this situation, so that I had like 35,000 items all coming due on the same day. So that was, hey, that's what you do when you don't know what you're doing. And you all worked with me, and we took 2,000 items at a time and spread them out over a month. So we are going to be coming up, the first due date for that was, I think, May 23rd. And then, it's going to pretty much be 2,000 every day. So that's been pretty good. We also don't have fines. We didn't before this happened. And we also have auto renew, and we did before that happened also. So even though I have kind of these due dates coming, they're going to auto renew and all that jazz. So that's been really good, and patrons have been responding pretty well. So it's summer, and I don't know who is who is listening is open or not open or whatever. We are limited open, so we don't have our full hours. We're adding in Sunday, starting this Sunday. We starting this next Monday, actually, we're going to have our book drops open 24/7. Currently, they've been open only during our limited hours. We have been getting a lot more returns. Just for everyone to know this, we are getting a lot more returns than we are having stuff taken out. Most people have been really respectful, a few eye rolling, some of that, but for the most part, everyone's been really nice. But I think shelf capacity is definitely going to be an issue for many libraries moving beyond this, because everything is coming back, and they're returning 50 things and taking out 10. And I don't, especially in my ebooks, my easy readers, my whatever people call them, the story time books that you read to a small child. I think we're going to have to stack them on top. I don't know. So that's kind of a thing for everybody, I think, to watch out for and to maybe think about as well. And really just, you know, I know that there have been stories of people being kind of impolite, and I have not so much had that. You know, not that everyone's loving every part of this. I mean, even staff don't love every part of it. It's hard. I'd like to point out that I am sitting in a server room. Isn't this nice? I'm sorry for the background noise. I lost my desk. It has been given over to somebody else. This is sort of a temporary situation. Libraries are notorious for having 3 and 4 people using the same desk, and we've been told by the state we can't do that. We're going to lose one of our public meeting rooms, and we're going to have to turn it into working space with some ad hoc desks. And everyone, you know, staff have been really great about being flexible about their hours, their tasks. It's hard, you know, it's hard and it's stressful. The rates in Texas are going up.
Catherine,
tough.
Yeah. You have a question from the audience. How many facilities did you say you have, and what's the population size?
So we have 1 facility. It's pretty dang small. We're actually getting a new building in about 4 years, so it's small enough that we have a new building coming, and we serve a population of about 120,000, and this is an unprecedented summer. I yesterday scheduled a technology implementation for July 6th. I would have never thought I would do that in the middle of the summer, but it is that slow, and I believe we have the staff capacity to take it on. Also, it's self-service. Right now, patrons have to pay staff to get their prints, and this will be self-service, which also helps with the less contact. So there's 2 reasons I'm going forth with it. 1 is I think we can handle it, and 2 is we need it. So that was in the works before all this happened anyway. But I was thinking fall implementation, no one implements anything in the summer. So yeah, it's been good. But I think that Koha has been really flexible for us, and I hope everyone has been putting in tickets with you all, because you've been very creative and like helping me figure out, like, I have this giant pile of stuff. It's all due on the exact same day. What do I do? So I think that was really good. Some of the messaging stuff has been good, how flexible and how easy it is to change your messages, particularly for like holds, pickups. You know, for a while it was only curbside, and so there was that message. And then we have a new message now that's like, oh, okay, well, you can either do curbside or you can come in, or, you know, so things just keep changing. And the fact that you can just click a button and pretty easily go in and change those things has been, we're a pretty new implementation. So it's just been, for us to be like, what would we have done if we were still, can I say that? If we were still with Cersei, this would have been a lot harder. I'll just say it. I maybe shouldn't have said that. Sorry. I'm sorry, Cersei.
That's okay. Now, Catherine, I am really interested. You got quite a bit of notoriety, positive notoriety, so I guess that's not the right word, about your curbside pickup. Yeah, I know, I can't think of the right word. But talk us a little bit through that, because I know a lot of libraries are interested in kind of setting that up, and they're a little anxious about how to make it all work.
So we've actually, I think we're on stage 3. Before we had the stay-at-home order from the state, we had done a system where we put things in plastic bags, checked them out, and put them out there, and we're like, come and get it. And for a variety of reasons, staff really felt like that wasn't going to be something that we could maintain once we were reopening and people were kind of coming out. And in fact, our hold list has been kind of brutal, or it was when then we came back, and I chose, possibly, again, maybe a misstep, I don't know, but we left the ability to put holds the whole time that we were closed. So our hold list just, yeah. And so we were like, okay, well, we'll do some, you know, we'll pull what we can. We're going to, you know, we'll try to be smart about it, So we had people come up and they would call us and say, hey, we're here. And we were really running our little legs off. And then what we ended up doing was we throttled how many we would pull per day. And that just meant that every single day, the hold list just got a little bit longer and a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And it was, it was over 1,000 items for a while sitting on that on-shelf hold list. But, you know, you can only do what you can do. And, you know, so we actually worked with Lucas. We added some messaging both to we had a banner at the bottom that said, hey, you really love us. Holds are delayed. And then when you're placing your hold, there's a yellow pop-up now that says, where it said like, hey, holds are going to be delayed. Wait till you hear from us before you come in. So that was another 2 ways that Koha helped me in handling that, because we just had to, that's the only thing we could do. I mean, we can only run so fast. We only have so many ability for phone lines to come in the building and for us to be able to answer those phones. At that point in time, we still were working with reduced staff, so we didn't have as many of us. And even if we had that many staff, it's not safe to have 15 people all running into each other in the same place right now. So it's just not an option. So now we have I think what's kind of, I would almost say it's established as a best practice, maybe not, I don't know. But if you want to come in, you can get your holds that way. If you are high risk or don't want to or whatever, you can pull up. We have 3 spaces that we've indicated, and you pull up and say, I'm in parking spot 1, and we bring it out to you. So, but many people are coming in and picking up their own items, their own holds. So that has alleviated enough of that pressure that we are able, I think at this point in time, we have a pretty normal, 50 to 100 holds a day that are, and we managed to get it down, except for the ones we can't find, of course, every day. So we're kind of caught up. But yeah, for a while there, it was stressful for us. I don't even know how patrons felt about it. I mean, we got a couple calls, but most people were like, oh no, that's fine. Don't worry. Thank you for doing it at all or whatever. So yeah, that's the curbside scenario. At this point, we're, I think we've kind of gone more toward, I think what most libraries are doing, which is you pull up, you call, you can put it in your trunk, set it in the back seat, what have you. So, oh, hey, by the way, cost-wise, everybody, and also environmentally, it makes me weep openly. The cost of bags for doing that, none of us budgeted for, and also hard to get. The back orders on those are really hard. So that's a tough one. That has nothing to do with computers, but there you go.
How are your staff handling this? I know that there's a lot of the conversations that I'm seeing on like listservs and stuff like that, or that the staff are very anxious about coming back into the building and things like that. What sort of tips would you give to other folks, other than moving to the server room, about how to help their staff adjust to this?
I mean, I think communication is really important in that. And I think there's one thing to know about, I don't think it matters where you work. If there's 3 people who are working where you work, you're going to have a continuum where somebody is super worried and somebody is super not worried. In addition to just how you might feel about it, your personal situation might be different as well. Not everyone discloses everything about their home life. You might be living with someone at home who is high risk, who unfortunately, due to this whole situation, a person who did not want to disclose was telling us that they had a family member who was currently fighting cancer. So we had to be really careful about that staff member. And so but I don't think they would have disclosed that otherwise. So I think that you have to remember that there is going to be that continuum. Texas, I can't require staff to wear masks, but we have fashionable masks for those of us. He's my little bird. We're trying to wear, it's like, so people are really pretty respectful about wearing masks. We try to be really cautious of the social distancing. The city of Cedar Park has really stepped up. They have like a committee, I guess, or a sub-cross group or something. They have installed a ton of acrylic. They have provided us with cleaning supplies. They have really helped us get through that chain. If you're in a public library, by the way, and you haven't gotten priority, I think is the right word, priority status from Amazon, you need to do that or you're not going to be able to buy any of this stuff. So there's a status that you can get as a government agency where you can get some of this material differently than the public. The public isn't seeing it, so you could see it and they cannot. But that really has been great, City of Cedar Park, really supporting us. So part of all of that, and training, by the way, too, which is required by the state of Texas, but we have to implement something here, is to tell people like, hey, I think it's respectful of people who are very worried to say, we're installing the acrylic, here's the plan, here's, we're not gonna have everyone come back at once. We're gonna be doing a mixed model of some people at home and some people here. And, we're spreading all of you out. This is what we're kind of working on. And to let them know, like, hey, this is how it's happening and why it's happening. And some people are in some really weird spots right now. Can I share my screen? How do I do this? All right, I'm gonna try clicking the button, everybody. Hold on a second. Photos. I'm gonna show everybody, I think you guys can see it. Yeah? Okay, so this is our Frankenstein. We're starting public computer support on Monday. Public computers will be available, and as I think many public libraries have a lot of people who end up needing help on those computers. So what we have is a patron computer on one side, and it's a real computer. It's just like normal, you know, Envisionware, all that. And then we have a piece of acrylic between us. And then on the flip side, you can see our so beautiful and delightful wires that are all hanging right over there, so attractive. It's just a mirrored monitor. It's a plain monitor mirrored with a keyboard and mouse, so we can like take our mouse and be like, right here is where the attachment button is. So we haven't started it. That's going to be Monday, so I can, you know, people can email me and follow up for that to see how we like it. But we're feeling like this is a safer way. We can still make eye contact. We looked into, you know, remoting in options and different things, and just we're like, what if they don't have a cell phone? And yeah, that whole, so we're hopeful that this model is going to work for us. Obviously not all of our computers are going to be available since they're all on top of each other. By the way, all brand new computers, so breaking my heart that I can't make all those available. Yeah, didn't anticipate that. So that's kind of our plan for Monday for offering the computer service. And it's going to be much fewer computers than usual, but we have been slower. So we're going to see, and then try to adapt. I feel like every week there's a new change, and that's hard for staff, and the communication part is hard. So, and I think it is fair to say I think you have to be a place where staff can say to you, this sucks. Like, I don't like this. Like, you know, what I keep telling patrons, I keep telling everyone the same exact thing, and that's this. I've spent 30 years of my life serving the public, and I spent a day last month taking away everyone's chairs. It's heartbreaking, it's hard, it makes you tired at the end of the day. I am tired when I go home at the end of the day, and you know, I'm sure everyone feels the same way. And that's with everybody on the continuum. I think I'm probably somewhere in the middle on that continuum. So I'm sure that for people who have, who are more concerned, or maybe they have anxiety or whatever, or they have somebody at home that's a problem, you have to be listening to it, and you have to try to share as much as you can about what you're going to be doing moving forward, so that everybody can kind of know, and like where the supplies are and how to get them and all of that. So I don't know if that was helpful.
Catherine, can I ask a question? Do you primarily do self-checkout machines, or are they being checked out? Okay.
So we have 3 self-checkout machines, and speaking of development, I actually put in a development thing going, is anyone working on this? We have 3 self-check machines. They do require extra cleaning, but we aren't doing, we still have to interact with people who are getting new library cards, of course, and anybody who has a question, obviously. And then if you needed to do something with your account, and a whole lot of people are in the habit of only bringing their driver's license here. So I guess that's a problem I made myself, but whatever, or, you know, ourselves over the history of time or whatever, which we didn't see this 10 years ago, right? So it's fine. So most of our circulation before was already through the self-check, and we are trying to encourage that self-check use. We also have acrylic all around our circ desk with little holes that people put stuff through. So there's that. So it's as safe as we can make it. People like hold their driver's license up against the acrylic. It's really weird. Mm-hmm. And then the question I had was like, is there any development? Because I know there's some kind of expensive things where people can do self-check out. You know, by scanning a barcode or whatever. So, although I would be a problem child for that, but I was just curious if that was something that Koha had in, if anybody was playing with that.
Do you mean self-check, like self-check return?
No, like so I have Biblioteca for my vendor, and they have an app where a patron can check out the item by scanning the barcode, and then theoretically they could put it at they could unlock it at an unlocking station, although I tore out all of my RFID gates anyway, because this town has an extraordinarily low theft rate. I wouldn't recommend it for every town, but for this community, they were just in the way and ugly and not working very well, and a barrier to service. And also a literal barrier. It was hard to get wheelchairs over them and stuff. So perhaps in new construction, we would consider putting them back in. my theft rate would have to increase by a lot for me to consider it. But other libraries, I've been in libraries that had much higher theft rates. So every community is different. Anyway, so I guess does that answer your question?
But to answer yours, I know that there's been some discussion before about developing something like that where patrons can use their phones to check out and stuff like that. It has gone nowhere yet in community, but there have at least been some discussions. On the plus side, though, one of the things that was holding it back was having an app. And one of our partners actually did develop a Koha app that might be a foundation for moving forward with that. So it's coming. It's just, going to take a little while. But it is something we have been asked for before of having that ability to do that themselves. And that's the thing is that, with Koha self-check, you either need to have that barcode that you can scan or you need to have your username that you can type in. And without one of those two, it is a little bit more of a challenge to do that. So.
With the self-checks, we are just trying to clean them frequently throughout the day. And we also, Biblioteca was actually pretty good. Very good. I would say they're very good. They emailed very early on and said, here are the settings you can put onto your self-check machines to make it be as touch-free as possible. So we're doing all the things we can to try to make those machines less touchy and cleaning them frequently. But of course, if you're using your own, I don't have to clean your iPhone. So, that's where that's coming from. I think a lot of people are looking at how do I make it so I have to try to deal with this stuff less. Hopefully that's going to be long enough in the pipeline that COVID won't be an issue by the time someone gets it figured out.
No, it'll be something else though. It'll be the zombie plague next. So.
Knock on wood.
I know. Catherine, thank you so much. I think that was really, really helpful. Do y'all have any questions for Catherine? You can put them in chat, things like that. If we have anyone else that wants to speak, please let us know, and we're more than happy to promote you to a panelist too, and let you give a chance to kind of share what you're.
I was planning on eating lunch, so.
Oh, that's great.
Did you wash your hands first? Excellent. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate it. Okay. Oh, Ed.
So we asked, go ahead, Donna.
No, I was going to say, Ed, what is going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, we got upgraded last night, so lots is going on in my neck of the woods. I guess Jay-Z asked me to come over and chat about the self-checks we set up.
Yeah, Catherine was just on, and she was talking about what they were doing, and I thought I know y'all were doing some good stuff over there at McKinney, so I thought if you could just jump on and talk about what you're doing for your patrons as you begin that reopening process.
Okay, we're pretty much open. Well, one of our locations is open. This location isn't open yet, but it's because of construction, not COVID. So that's our delay, but we've set up some self-checks that are effectively or could be touchless except for one touch. The one touch is the finish, and the way we've made them touchless, if you will, is we spent a little bit of money on buying thousands of those little bitty plastic styluses, and we just have them there for people to grab and take with them. For the one touch on the touch screen to hit finish. There's no keyboards attached. There are no printers attached. It's just got one of these. If I had had more than 2 minutes preparation, I could have taken a picture and had it up here. But they've got the RFID pads, the barcode scanners. It's the nice scanners that will read the card facing any direction, kind of those omnidirectional scanners. So they just flash the card up there, lay the books one at a time on there, and they head out. Not much else to say about that, unless you have questions.
Sounds cool.
I'm looking through my email because I know I saw a picture of your self-checks and I just thought they were really neat looking. So I'm trying to see if I can find that picture real quick.
There's a picture floating around somewhere. Spencer was, The pictures of our, the first prototype that we put together. So it looks a little different than that now. That the picture is going to have the receipt printers that we've taken away. But yeah, the nice thing about them, they, well, let me answer the question that just popped up in chat. Yes and no. Some people grab the styluses and take them with them. Most people, the reality is most people are just hitting finish rather than taking the styluses. I did have to jump all over some staff originally after the first couple of days of them being open, because we have nice bleach cleaner that we're, they're chlorine-based cleaner that they're using to clean the counters and everything with. And they were spraying that directly on the touch screen and then wiping it down. And I had to say, no.
Gosh, why not?
But beyond that, that was a staff problem, not a public problem. Yeah, we thought about that, the contact, covering things, but do you switch it between patrons? That's why we haven't done it, unless you're switching that kind of thing. But well, yeah, you can spray directly on the contact paper. Good point. It does make cleaning a little bit easier, but we just bought a case of wipes that we can clean them with that that are designed for that. I started to say something else and I don't remember what it was.
Well, I know that y'all have been doing curbside pickup for quite a while too. Any tips for folks that are looking to do that?
Wear comfortable shoes.
We're librarians, we already do.
At this location, it's gone pretty smoothly. At one point early on, we were doing basically a curbside pickup every 3 minutes. And it was really crazy the first week or so. It has tapered off. The downtown location, now that they're physically open, they're getting very few curbside requests, but they're still getting them. One of the issues they faced there was where they place their holds as opposed to where they're receiving the calls. There was a lot of walking back and forth, checking things out. So what they ended up doing was using one of those web apps, where when somebody would call in, they would copy the barcode, their card number from Koha into this web app, and on a receipt printer, print out a barcode. Because our self-check machines are right near the holds, then they would grab the holds for them, use that printed out barcode, check it out at the self-check and walk out, rather than walk all the way back into the workroom, check it out there when somebody else is grabbing that machine to do so. It made things a little easier. We're not doing that here because our configuration is different. Along with our self-checks, this doesn't really have much to do with opening, but it kind of does. We have a long-term vision of not continuing to purchase cases and cases of pieces of plastic that we hand out to patrons that they will not keep. We have so many patrons that just walk in, oh, I've lost my card, I don't have my card, I don't. Along with the huge number of patrons, we had over 900, almost 1,000 patrons get e-cards while we were closed. And we used old barcode numbers that were from an old batch of cards that we're not using the older style cards any longer. And so when these patrons are wanting to come in to be able to check out physical material, we have to verify address. So we're doing that in a remote fashion. We're doing the 6-foot dance where they take the ID, place it down, step back, somebody steps up, all of those kinds of fun things. Then they're verifying that address and simply updating the patron category in the record, not issuing a new card unless they really want a piece of plastic. Most of these folks were using digital resources to begin with. So the cloud library Cloud Library has a way to have it does an image of your card in it. And so we've got folks using that. That image within the Cloud Library app works on the self-check machines. So they now have a digital card through the Cloud Library app. If they insist on the piece of plastic, then we tell them that we'll have to issue you a new card number, at which point it's going to take us a few days to go into the Cloud Library settings and connect your old card number to your new card number. And in that meantime, you're not going to have your existing books that you have checked out. Your existing holds are not going to show up until we link those two accounts. Most people's response at that time is, this app works fine on my phone. Another thing we've done towards that ultimate goal is we've had Lucas put the patron barcode right under the patron's name and card number within the staff client, which sounds kind of ridiculous because you're sitting at the staff client. If you need to check somebody out, you do that. When we opened up with our self-checks, we do not have circulation terminals in that area. There's no staff terminal. So when somebody forgets their card or doesn't have that, the staff now has an iPad, and they can bring up that patron's record with that barcode there, and the staff can just scan that real quickly so the patron can then use the self-check machine.
That is such a good idea.
I've submitted another ticket to have the barcode added to the patron summary in the OPAC when the menu option appears in mobile form. So when you're looking at it on a mobile app, the barcode will appear there. It won't appear in the full interface because that one piece of code's not displaying. And Lucas is working on that. Then all they have to do is log into the OPAC on their phone, and they'd have access to their barcode there.
I love that. I love that idea. That's fantastic. And then Catherine said the other thing that she's looking for is a button in the staff side patron record that says resend welcome email that will include the card number and the PIN. So it's that same sort of idea of getting people away from that physical card. And see, I'm kind of at the point where my local library will not accept an image of my barcode yet. I have to have that physical card there. Drives me nuts. I'm like, there's a better way. Excellent. All right, thank you, Ed. Does anyone have any questions for Ed? Many of y'all that have been around for a while know that Ed and Spencer get up to amazing things at their library.
Lucas is probably not happy with us right now. I submitted a bunch of tickets this morning for OPAC things that aren't behaving right, not knowing that Spencer's going in there right now trying to fix things on his own. And I finally told Spencer to stop.
We've had that conversation with partners sometimes too. I love it. Catherine says, yeah, please fax your card number to the 1990s. So excellent. Great. Thank you, Ed. We appreciate you taking the time to come and chat just a little bit. I know we'll
Thanks for inviting me.
The emails about the self-checks, and we'll include the links and pictures if we can when we post this up. So thanks, Ed. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
All right. So what other questions or experiences have y'all had or have questions about or just want to kind of throw out to everyone? I know there's been lots of webinars and things going on from different library world vendors and stuff like that about reopening and whatnot. So, you know, if you have questions, there's definitely places out there that you can get a lot of information, listservs and all of those good things. So I know my local library had actually only closed for about 2 weeks. So they've been open to the public for since I want to say the 11th. I went in there for the first time last week. They've done things, they've taken out all the chairs. There's plastic in front of the circ desks. They've separated out the computers. They're no longer doing computer help, which I love what Catherine is doing, because when I was there, I was listening to staff and they're like, you know, someone came to the desk and asked for computer help. I'm like, okay, well, when you get back to the computer, you're going to want to go ahead and click on the icon in the top left and look for and I'm just thinking, oh, that's just got to be terrible for both of those parties to try and work with that. My library also did one-way aisles through the stacks, which was kind of interesting. Fortunately, they thought it through and they did it the same way that the alphabet is running. So it was at least half the time it was close. So yeah, that was something interesting to kind of look at too.
How wide are your aisles though? Like
they're not that big. It's one person.
Yeah. One person. Okay.
It's one person really. So kind of some interesting things. I do want to brag though, my local library also did a crafts to go for adults. So you stop in there, you pick up a book bag. It's yours to keep, and it's 5 weeks of crafts, one craft each week. So like the first one is decorating book bag. This week is doing an aromatherapy bracelet. All of the supply, most of the supplies are in there, and they also have little videos that you can watch that show you what you're supposed to do. So I love that element of being able to do some adult programming without having to be physically there, because we all know that it's going to be a while before we can resume in-person programming. But I did check out my 15 books, so I don't have to go back again for a while. Kelly, you said your library is not open yet, right?
My library is not a Koha library. They have not opened yet. And I was very hesitant to even place more than like 2 holds, because I can imagine the library feeling like, yes, I understand I've been closed for like 12 weeks, but our community could be very large if everyone asked for 6 books apiece. So I said everyone could put one on or hold or something like that at our house, just so we could all get a refresh, but understanding that it's going to be overwhelming to begin. And my library was completely closed because they were the COVID-19 community hub, was what the library was created into. So the community made the library the COVID-19 center for communication or whatever. So they really didn't have access to their library.
Wow. Jay-Z, Andrew, what about y'all's local libraries?
We're still curbside pickup. My library is an evergreen library. So you can place holds, and then there's certain hours you can get a drive-through, and you can go to the drive-through and pick it up.
I was just looking to see if any of my Carnegie Stout Public Library people are here, but they're not. Yeah, we're curbside only right now.
Yeah, my library.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
I just said I'm not sure when that's changing. I should bug them.
My library decided not to do curbside because they figured it was just as much contact as having people come in the building, which was interesting. And for y'all that don't know, I'm in Florida, Jay-Z's in Pennsylvania, Kelly's in Maine, and Andrew's in Iowa. And you know, all you have to say is I'm in Florida, and that says everything. No, I mean, it's been interesting. And then the rest of the libraries in the area are opening up also. Most of them are just doing curbside or limited pickup, things like that. So, but yeah, you know, Kelly, you bring a really good point that, and Catherine mentioned it too, that, you know, they're going to have holds lists that are thousands of items depending on your library. And I know that we've been working with a lot of partners too to do things like putting items in quarantine, you know, and every time you put something that's in quarantine that has a hold on it, that's going to be one more thing that you have to handle again once the quarantine has come off and you go ahead and pull that out again. So I think that is going to be a challenge for a lot of libraries, is trying to keep up with that holds scenario.
I didn't ask, but I believe Catherine is putting things in quarantine, correct? Does anyone know?
No, they're not.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've seen, you know, just from our, well, yes and no. So as she types out the rest of her answer, I know we've seen just from our partners the whole gamut from we're quarantined for 14 days and we're wiping everything off to no, just put them back out there because by the time we do the turnaround, it's okay. So they are physically quarantining things, but they're not using the Koha status,
okay.
Which I think we've got quite a lot of folks that are doing that too. They're just like, no, I'm just going to put it to the side. You can't see it for 3 days and it'll all be fine, you know, sort of thing. But yeah, it's been kind of interesting, and we are getting conflicting medical advice too as to whether or not we need to quarantine, how long we need to quarantine, what do we need to quarantine. But Kelly and I were joking earlier that anyone that's worked in the library for more than about 5 minutes knows that just in general principle, library materials are dirty, just because they get handled so much. So you should be washing your hands anyways when you're dealing with library materials, no matter what. So Ed mentions that they are not quarantining either. He's in McKinney, Texas. So 2 Texas libraries. They're not either, but they did increase their circulation time for 1 more week for folks to quarantine the items themselves, which is, I've seen that happen a few different places. So you get it, you bring it home, you leave it in your bag for a week, quarantine it in your house, and then you read the item. Kelly's like, I couldn't wait that long to read the book.
No, but how could I return? So I don't quarantine it at the end of my thing. I quarantine it before I open the book when it's in my house.
Yeah, when you get it from the library.
Oh, it's like asking me to quarantine those boxes from Amazon, like in my garage. I stopped doing that. Like
after day go well in Kelly's house. Yeah, that quarantine did not work well. Yeah,
we're talking about like opening Amazon boxes in their garage and like letting them sit there. I'm like, no, I want the stuff. I want the books.
And that's the thing is that, there are some folks that are doing this, like, you know what, we'll give you extra days on your checkout. You decide what you want to do with them. So it's, it's kind of one of those things that it's up to you and your comfort level and stuff like that. I just kind of accept, being in libraries for 20 plus years that they're just dirty. That's just the reality of it. So
I didn't see it as dirt. I saw it as love. And now because of this pandemic, I have to see it as germs. Like this is a well-loved book. Now it's a germy book.
See, I never looked at it as germs because that's just icky. I thought about it as just dirt being touched. I don't want to think about what dirt is too much.
Now it's just full of droplets. Like.
So there is that whole thing. I know that we have seen a lot in public libraries where they've taken away the board books. Because let's be realistic. I mean, I know Jay-Z can speak to this with the little one. They don't just touch the books. They chew on them and they lick them and they do all sorts of stuff.
We're in the licking phase right now, so yes.
Awesome. And I've seen that libraries have also taken away things like they've put away the toys that they used to have for children to play with, or the busy sets that you would have in the library. Just those things that are really difficult to keep clean and stuff like that.
But it sounds like from what Catherine said, like she's removed all the chairs, so people aren't expecting people to hang around in the library. The purpose is, other than use the computer, is to really just get your books and go, which is so hard for families of kids that used to be able to go, let's go to the library for an hour on Saturday. And
yeah, and that is a challenge. And it's, talking with some of my, colleagues and stuff like that at libraries and stuff, they said it's just, and Catherine hit on it too. It's just hard because that's not in our nature. As libraries, we're here to serve. We're here to help. We're here to make sure that you have the materials that you need. We're here to be supportive. Whatever you need, that's what we do. And now we can't do that anymore. You're talking in a mask to someone behind plexiglass wearing another mask. And it's really hard to be able to do those sorts of things. So, and like my local library, they don't have any chairs there. My local library, though, also has instituted a 1 hour max occupancy. So you can only be in the building for an hour and then you have to leave. So they're really trying to make sure people restrict themselves. So of course that, as I'm going through before, no surprise, I could spend forever in a library looking at books. So when I was planning my visit, I had my list written out in due order where I needed to go, like a grocery list, so I could go in, do a strategic strike, and get back out.
In due order? Are you kidding me right now, Donna?
Well, no, because like mine has like the fiction and then the mystery and then the science fiction, and so I knew I needed to go from here to here to here. And yeah, I know. I am such a librarian.
And then, are there capacity limits like at the grocery store? I don't know if other states are doing that, but we have capacity limits at our grocery store, and I'm sure the libraries have to abide by that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ed really hit on the point with the comment that he just made. We're having a hard time getting staff to understand that we can't provide the level of customer service that we would like and have done in the past. And that's just the reality of it. Catherine said that she'd had a few people that have rolled their eyes, but I know I've heard from other libraries too that is an ongoing issue. I actually spoke to one director who said they basically are just spending their whole day out now on the floor saying people, I'm sorry, no, because they want these things that we can't provide, unfortunately. So it is really, and that's the thing is it's not just the physical washing your hands and that anxiety. It's also the anxiety of not being able to do what I love being able to do. So I do feel bad for staff that are in the public area right now trying to help their patrons and they can't. I know.
Oh, Catherine shared a link to her library page, and I like I like rules. Like, I like to be told this is what you should expect going into the library. Like, this is how we have a capacity. You return books through the book drop. Don't bring them in, which is against the rules of what we used to grow up with. Like, you should bring them in if they're open. 30 minutes, use the self-service checkout machine. So like, it's giving you guidelines of what to expect when you go into the library now. And so I think that's awesome too, for those rule followers like me.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'd really have to have my game plan if I went to Cedar Park Library. I only get 30 minutes in the building.
And they have at-risk hours. I like that. So, that's nice.
Yeah. I have seen some libraries who have been able to, with wireless printing, allow that to be printed and the patrons can just come in and pick those up, which was kind of a nice, if you're able to do that. I also do know some libraries have just gone as much as we've tried, I know, as libraries to get away from the dreaded IRS forms and having them physically in the building. I know that a lot of libraries during this period have had to go ahead and print them out again and just have them out for people to pick up in order to file their taxes. That extension is what, July 1st is that coming due? July 15th?
I think July 15th.
July 15th, so yeah. And then also in Florida, like many other places, massive unemployment applications that need to be done. And so having to print those out and have those available is really a challenge too for those sorts of things. I do think it's been fun watching the virtual programs. So I mentioned the one that ours was like a take and go, but I know there's a lot of fun stuff that's going on there. Anybody want to share anything that they're seeing or are doing that they're really proud of with those virtual programs?
I'll start by saying our next podcast that's coming out is with Do Space, who's one of our partners in Nebraska, and they're doing some awesome stuff. If Ed is still on here, McKinney's doing really neat stuff where they have a car mechanic speaks once a week. They have a little boy that does some cooking, and they do these little videos. I don't know if Ed's still on here, but I hope he's going to share that in chat. But I try to retweet those or repost them on our Facebook and Twitter pages. So people out there are doing amazing things. Amazing. Like, I love it. I've seen so many. I can keep talking, so I'm going to pause myself and let the other people talk. But I've seen some really great stuff.
Oh my gosh, I want to see these.
Yeah, there is some exciting things that are happening, and I do love that. And and it's a way that you can kind of feel part of a community without being the community. So
we don't want to lose that connection to our public,
Although I do say I wish the libraries would start accepting donations again, because I've been cleaning my bookshelves out and I have a stack that needs to go.
Sorry, Donna, no donations. You're like, but they've been in a bag for 100 years, so they're fine.
It's me, you know me. We've been doing a virtual book group. My library has been, and we've been doing it on Zoom. So a little bit different interaction, but it's still, you've got that connection that you can kind of have some fun and talk and things like that. And I joke about it that our book group is a wine and book group. So you can bring alcohol and drink while you're discussing the book. But since I have to drive to the library, I can never drink. So now we're doing it at home. I'm having a great time because I can actually have a glass of wine during the book group. Actually, you know what? Ed just posted that link. Let me go ahead and bring it up and I'll share my screen. Ed, I hope you're not Zoom bombing me with something that I shouldn't be sharing. Oh, so here's the car care.
What page is this? Oh, is this Facebook? It looks so different.
It's McKinney's Public Library. So these are their car care and maintenance videos. Oh, it didn't like that, did it? But if you go to facebook.com/, oh, there we go, /McKinney Library, you'll be able to see this mechanic.
Some basic tools. So we're going to start off first with sockets. And sockets are basically different sizes. It has the name of the number, the size of the tool on the side of it here. And it has the size of the socket this is called a 3/8 drive. A 3/8 drive is meaning that this size of the tool, of this ratchet, is 3/8 of an inch.
So very cool. I think a lot of us probably want to watch those sorts of things. So excellent. All right, what other questions or concerns do y'all have, or thoughts or ideas, or we could ask the loaded question of when do we think normal will be resumed, and will we ever get back to normal? I know. I think, unfortunately, that normal is going to be a long ways away. And this will be, as people are saying, the new normal, just adjusting to it. Except in Florida, where we think everything is great. So, so the gentleman that's doing this is a library assistant that's a retired aircraft mechanic. My dad actually was an aircraft mechanic, Ed, so I actually grew up learning how to fix airplanes before I learned how to fix cars, which might explain a whole lot about me. But you know, this is a perfect example of, you know, what do you have available? How can you make these resources available? How can you share with your patrons, make that connection without necessarily having to be there in person? So. All right, what else? No. All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and call it a wrap. Jay-Z, Kelly, Andrew, any final words for anybody?
Keep rocking and rolling. You're doing an amazing job. I'm just proud to be a librarian. Really am.
Same. It's amazing, like, watching what everyone's doing virtually, to be there for the community. I like some nights just watch videos just to see what everyone's doing. Okay, we love y'all.
Yeah.
All right.
Tell us if you need us.
Keep it up. Keep going. Let us know how we can help. We're here for y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.